That's
Great. All right. It is 6:01. We will call the meeting to order. To everyone who came a little early to help us celebrate Bill.
Yeah.
it's hard to get rid of it. That's dedication.
We do have a quorum. We've got a full house. We've got two series of minutes to accept. The first is from our regular meeting of October 11th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
And then the second is from our special meeting, last Wednesday, the 18th, and I would take a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is visitor comments. Is there anybody that's here for something that's not on the agenda that you'd like to bring forward? Go ahead.
I wasn't planning on this at all, but I have been, kind of obsessed a little bit by the reevaluation. Done a very unscientific study. I've taken the commitment books from 2023 and 2024, whether our new ones will be, just to see how, if we were looking for that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 increase, 1/3 decrease, 1/3 stay the same. I only got through the G's and I broke it out by year-round people versus summer cottages. And I took specifically the cottages, the higher end cottages. So I did 38, I checked 38 year round. 22 of those 38, their taxes went up. 12 went down and 2 stayed the same. The 38 summer residents, 21 of them went down. And only 16 went up. And 1 stayed the same. I just find it, that's not where we would want, I would think, that's not where we want the tax burden to be coming from, is year-round people. I'm just brought that up, I'm here and I have to let go of it. And I don't know how else to do that, so that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Bill. No, I mean, I agree. And I've thought about it and struggled with it myself. I think the nature of the revaluation, as I understand it, is to reflect the market value of the property and looking at what has happened over, the past many years. Some of what have traditionally been year-round homes have increased in sales. The sales prices have increased faster than the sales prices of what have traditionally been seasonal properties. And, I think that's what's driving a lot of that trend. It's not a trend that is helpful for supporting our year-round community. And I have done a little bit of research and I haven't found anything that can be done to change the way that system works. But I completely agree that it is, it's a concerning trend. And I think as we think about what are some of the community support mechanisms and programs around, we need to recognize that trend and figure out what as a community we can do to support and make sure that we can maintain that year round, because it's I agree 100%.
Thank you.
In
It's a
2020 had a real big impact.
A change has to come statewide. I mean, it's a state
Yeah.
equation.
Yeah.
We need a Proposition 13 like they did in California.
No, thank you. I think it's an important point.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or? Okay, next up is a public hearing to review the 2023-2024 general assistance ordinance appendices. This is something that we do every year and has been provided by the county in our packet. I would entertain a motion to enter public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are in public hearing. Does anyone have any comments, questions relative to the ordinance? General assistance ordinance?
No, it's pretty standard.
Great.
Did it change at all, Janet?
A
from
little,
last year?
a little. Go up or down? I think it went up. I don't have with me the 22-23, but it's minimal. Yeah, change.
So it doesn't reflect cost, it's little.
Any further questions? Okay, I would have a motion to exit public hearing.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
And now you need us to approve the ordinance, is that
Yeah,
correct?
and I think it's there on the clipboard, so you all have to sign. And then I send it back to the general assistance program.
So, motion to adopt the updated appendices for the general assistance ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is updates, ferry service update, and I spoke with John King when he was here earlier. I think the next, ferry service, advisory committee meeting is Monday, the 30th, and he didn't have any further updates. Anything else on ferry? On sea level rise, our next committee meeting is tomorrow at 5:30. The engineering RFP for the Narrows project has been released. The deadline for engineering firms responding is November 3rd. And it is our hope that we can have a recommendation for the select board to enter it out to a contract. I guess it would probably be our meeting on the 22nd. We're hopeful to have that locked in before the Thanksgiving holiday. Any questions about sea level rise? Okay, Lauren, municipal building.
Well, we're on the schedule twice, so maybe I could do my comments now and then we won't need to go into it
Sure.
at the next meeting.
Go ahead.
The municipal building project committee met this last Monday, the 23rd, I believe. Very good discussion. And we were going to come to the select board and ask for a number of things, including a town meeting, to move forward on what we need to do in terms of supporting a municipal building project and funding for the municipal building project. But Pete Anderson and I today got a phone call from Steve Blatt, who's the architect, and the person who works with him, Mark Roulette. And we had a video conference, and they have asked us to not bring forward the information that we wanted to bring to the select board, to not take any action, to not schedule a town meeting, to give them a couple more weeks because they really want to work hard with H.E. Callahan, who's the contract manager, to drive the price down. So we are not formally bringing anything to the select board for action. He wants to meet in person with the municipal building committee next week or the week after, just as soon as we can set up a meeting to talk through where we're at in the project. But I have to say, this is just me, and then I would ask Pete to add his comments. Some of the people in this room know this, but some of you don't. We've been working really very hard, literally going to Auburn, Maine, sitting down with H.E. Callahan, looking at this, all of the spreadsheets, going through page by page, trying to find cost savings everywhere we could. Pete Anderson actually had a lot of knowledge in this area, so he had good things to say and ways that we can help. We just aren't there yet. It's complicated, and And H. Callahan, and in the minds of, I think Pete Anderson, myself, Steve Blatt and Mark Willett, there's more to be done. That H. Callahan can find more. They just started digging in with the contractors who won the bid. So this is a time when they can sit down with people that they've selected that won the bid and say, okay, great. This is what your dollar sign, this is what your line item is. Let's go deeper, let's dig more. I don't know what else to say other than I think we're doing a really good job. Pete, do you want to add anything at all or confirm what I'm saying?
I think that, you said it all, you know, we have gone through several rounds of, examining the proposed, costs and see what we can do to decrease them. We've looked at doing things in phases, you know, we wouldn't keep us from operating each building, but with, you know, for the meantime, cut the cost, but nothing that we've done seems to get it down low enough, and we just need a little bit more time to look into how we can get it down further.
Yeah. So are there any questions from the select board, I guess, first, and then we can open it up to the public for questions, I guess? Or we could just leave it at that, which would really satisfy me. We will come back after the next, municipal building committee meeting, sometime in the next 2 weeks. We'll come back to the select board and report out where we're at with the project, but you know, as much as I really want to get the shovel in the ground, I mean, I just can't wait until we're moving forward. I'm not happy with where we're at in the dollar figures, and I think we can do better, and I was really relieved when I got Steve Blatt's phone call, honestly, so that's where we're at.
Questions? Comments? I just want to say thank you to you and your entire committee. I know it's been a lot of work, and thank you to, I don't know if it's Steve or Mark from who are from Stephen Blatt Architects, but thank you for advocating for us and trying to push the dollar figure down. Okay, with that, we will go to upcoming meetings and subcommittee reports. There's a planning board meeting on October 30th. Anything else? Right.
That's
it for now. Listed. All right, Janet, town manager's report.
All right, I've given you a bunch of minutes here, committee minutes. And first is the Maine Community Foundation, the Health Center Endowment Fund statement through October 23rd. And our current balance is $1,495,293.85. Minutes of the Municipal Building Project Committee meeting from October 3rd. I've also given you Lauren or Jennifer has just quickly run up the minutes from the meeting from October 23rd. That's the October 4th, October 4th and 23rd. Energy Committee minutes from September 12th. Housing Committee meeting from August 29th. Harbor Committee meeting from August 24th. I've given you, and some of you probably had some of this Maine Power Options, that Constellation draft agreement. Then I gave you a couple of email responses to it, one from the town's attorney and one from Cressica Brazier. And that's it for me.
Any questions for Janet? Do we have a signed contract with Farley?
Yes. Yes, yes, we do. And we're receiving insurance for East Shore Drive. Yes.
Any other questions? All right, And we have some correspondence from Steve that is on the agenda shortly. Any other correspondence? Okay, old business, let's discuss the main power options agreement.
Question is, to Janet, where are we at this point, Janet? Is the attorney, approved the agreement?
He has looked it over and given the select board his, you reviewed it.
Yes.
So it's up to them to decide what his,
I talked to the, main power option this morning, to kind of get an idea. It seems clear and it's under control. But this is a time, we should into an agreement because it's the lowest price of the year. It's in between seasons, particularly when it's warm. And it appears like the price will be something under 11 cents, probably 10, between 10 and 10 and a half. Possibly a little bit more than that. But it's based on the, wholesale. It's still a 5 or 6 cents, still the kilowatt hour savings to the town. I've also talked with, the school and the community center and others. Any one of the non-taxable entities, that is a separate contract, payment plan, which the school is. They pay their bill separately, and the community center pays the bill separately, and the church happens to be qualified as well. All of these places, can take advantage of the main power options agreement, but it has to start with the town. And, from what I understand, the agreement is pretty easy. I think it starts with the select board and Janet saying, well, let's go, and the next meeting, the next billing cycle presumably will, have main power options rather than, standard offer. That's what it's saying. It's really the balls and you people.
How long is the standard offer, or not the standard, but the lower price power
We,
options offer?
we get a low price, we can do 1 year, 2 years. Most of the communities that I've talked with have 4-year contracts. And they try to get them at a low price. And that's what we can do. We could go for 1 year now and of course renew it next year, whatever. And that's anyone's guess as for the future, right? Of energy costs in this part of the world. But most communities, I was told by Kay Van this morning that they have 4-year contracts, most of the communities. And there are 243 communities in Maine. Out of the main power options, Maine has more than 800 applicants for account. So it's our decision on the length of time felt. And the price would hold during that period, of course.
Any other questions from the select board? I guess my only question is, my understanding about entering into a contract is that we have basically 24 hours to respond, that, you know, any kind of formal contract that they draw up has the price that they lock in for us, and then, so if we need to time our next, you know, I don't know if we need to approve it at our next meeting when we have kind of the contract that they want us to sign with that timing, because my understanding is what we have here is just a template. It's not kind of the contract that they've.
I have not read the contract. It's really the attorney's job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so we would have it at our next select board meeting, if we can time it that way, if we have that much. It would be just a signing. How much advance do they need to give us a contract? I mean,
I thought that they could do it that day, but that once they issued it, that it was,
within 24 hours?
right, that it was,
It's a simple process, making an agreement with them. Really, it's an email process, rather, you don't have a lawyer still up at the doorstep of
I know, we're just talking about the timing of the select board approving
the
it.
sooner the better, because the price is cheaper. And when you talk about a cheaper price, we're talking a fraction of a cent. per kilowatt hour here. We're not talking big money. And you're talking big money in the term, but not immediately.
So maybe move forward to, and time it for our next select board meeting so that we can approve it at that meeting.
Right. You want them to put in or tell us the price it will be? You wanna know what the price is before we sign? Yeah. Before you sign, or?
Well, right now, we just have the template. We don't have a contract for us to approve. So, I feel like they need to issue us a contract, we need to have the contract that they are asking us to sign, I feel, before we can approve it. But if we could get that and have them, ask them to issue that on Wednesday, the 22nd, then, we could hopefully approve it at that meeting so that.
Or November 8th? You wanna do it?
Oh, right, so why am I? Yes, the 8th would be even better.
Okay.
Sooner the better.
And thinking we're on the 15th, I've skipped a couple months of November, I'm in November already.
It was Christmas.
It's
just
Right.
And do you wanna tell them what the length of the term?
It can be 1 year, any length of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, is that the usual?
I can do a little homework on that and make some phone calls to some municipalities.
We have a little time because we're not.
But if I'm gonna call her,
You
I
have
have
to
to
tell
tell
them how
her
long.
whatever year.
Like 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try 1 year. Okay, so I can tell her this tomorrow.
Ease and experience with it.
Price doesn't go up.
Well, I might add that, the main power auctions would take care of all non-taxable entities on the island, which means a church, school, woodland cottage, anyone that has a separate legal identity would be, could enter into an agreement with them.
Great. All right, thank you, Dick, for coming in and keeping this moving, and thanks for the members of the Energy Committee for weighing in on the questions that we need to make sure we're taking a look at. Anything else on power options? Okay, looks like we've got under new business, the first item is the Cherokee Golf Club and Yacht annual liquor license renewal.
Anything change on it? No, and they, it doesn't have to have a public hearing, because they've had this license over 5 years without any issues. So it's just proving it and timing. You have the original one there, there's two. And it
Okay,
used to be in May when everything else, but then the state did something and changed, that's why he's in October now, which is strange, but.
okay. Did I have a motion to accept this license renewal?
So moved.
Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is road improvement and maintenance plan. We all got a memo from Steve Miller, who is here. Thank you, Steve, for putting together the memo. I thought it was really helpful to read ahead of time, and appreciate you showing up, and I will hand the floor to you.
Well, I guess the first question is, does anybody need a copy of that?
I do.
Yeah, I'm thinking we got our next one.
So my interest in Islesboro Road, I think goes back to when I first came to Islesboro, but other than that, not feeling the need to quite go back that far, but, when I did serve on the advisory committee that looked into town roads, whose purpose was to delineate as definitively as possible what's a town road and what isn't a town road. And that committee went through, it was on that, went through all the roads and worked with some DOT information and so forth, and presented a report and included a couple of, I guess, two discontinuances too. is recommended discontinuance of a portion of the road, but during that process, I learned a lot about roads. I did some research, wanted to kind of get a feeling for what the rules were in terms of use of the roads and things like that. But I've also been kind of concerned about maintenance, and maintenance not just in the surface. The surface of the travel ways is fairly good. Some places it's failing on the edges and so forth, but mostly the encroachment of vegetation, things like when there's a storm and a tree comes down, it's removed from the travel way, but often the rest of it's left. And the area in which we can operate safely, either as a vehicle or as a pedestrian or a bicycle, has narrowed over the course of time. And I think most people I've talked to do acknowledge that. Their experience says that that's the case, and it doesn't take very long to just drive around and notice where there are branches actually are now often encroaching into the travel way in many places. So, there was a time when state money was involved with maintaining most of the roads over here, and they had regular maintenance. I mean, it was a regular thing, as well as special projects. That ship sailed in many years ago, and the burden was just sort of dumped on the town. But I do think it's a responsibility of the town, and this might look into both legislation as well as recommended policies and so forth. But mainly the legislation suggests to me that it is in fact a responsibility of municipalities. Say you have a town road, you're supposed to take care of it. So I'm not here to point fingers at anybody or sort of cry over spilled milk, as the expression goes, but I do think it's absolutely time. In fact, I think it was yesterday that we really needed to take a grip, to get a grip on the road system and figure out what can we afford to do today, what might we be doing tomorrow, and so on, to have a plan that addresses safety on the road. I don't think anybody would argue with me that there's a lot of traffic. There's more traffic now than there was 15 years ago. And we really do want to share the road. We want to share it with bicycles. We want to share it with people walking. And when was the last time you saw somebody walking on the shoulder? And most people say, well, of course. Well, that's because there really isn't any place to walk on the shoulder, or very few. So it isn't the walker's fault. It's because there are some problems here. So I met with the Safe Road Committee, and I actually even joined the committee a few years ago, but I stepped off. But I went back to them at their last regular meeting, and they were very supportive of the looking into or developing a plan. And it seems to me that that's been recommended in comprehensive plans. It's been recommended in the looking forward documents that you folks have adopted. And that's the right way to go, to get expert advice on what should be done now, what should be done, phased, and get a sense of what this kind of work is going to cost. What would it cost initially? There'll probably be some maybe there would be some expenses early on that could be phased out, but whatever, to come up with a budget and figure out how to pay for this kind of activity. So I think it's kind of two parts to that, what needs to be done and how are we going to pay for it? How does that structure? I did have a conversation actually during the road committee work there. I got to meet Peter Coughlin, who works with Maine Local Roads Center, which seems like it's kind of a division of DOT. Parenthetically, a division of DOT I can actually talk with. So, he's very helpful, and I asked him about this kind of thing, and it sounds as if it's definitely not uncommon, and that there are engineers that he might recommend the town to consider with an RFP. So that's one way to go, and I think drawing on the experience of other communities, drawing on the experience from DOT makes total sense for Islesboro to lean on others to see exactly how that is done elsewhere and what would make sense here. And who are the people we might want to solicit bids or potentially work with to help make this happen. So I don't really have a sense of cost. I couldn't tell you at all what this might be to hire an engineering firm or individual to produce or to undertake the maintenance and improvement plan. But it seems like that's probably not that hard to find to get an answer to that kind of cost. But I didn't want to step on the road commissioner's toes. So my suggestion is, if you think that it is time for the town to get serious about a road maintenance and improvement plan, if you agree with me and you agree with the Safe Roads Committee and you agree with actually everybody I've talked to, and I've talked to a few, mostly some of the people that I know that use the roads a lot, contractors are concerned. They're concerned because they really use the travel way. And sometimes their vehicles are so big that they are almost forced to use more than their travel way. And there are just so many close calls. I think it's dangerous. It's really a dangerous situation, not entirely due to the minimal amount of kind of roadside maintenance that's done, but partly due to that. So anyway, my thought would be to work with Peter Coughlin and come up with a sense of how this would be structured. How do you know, what would the RFP say specifically, and how would you circulate that to get some bids on undertaking this work? But I think you would find that it would be, very well supported by people in town.
Agreed. Thank you for I mean, I completely agree, and I think it is well presented. I have a question for Janet, and then I guess I'll turn it over to other questions from the select board. Was Peter, I know a couple of years ago, you had talked with someone from DOT who had it was a software system, but there was something that they came out to be a resource for you with the roads. Can you kind of speak a little bit to that?
It was about entering in data into, what are you doing?
It's RSMS 16 now. It was probably RSMS 11 back when he was talking about that. And I may
Road
have been
Ranger
there.
came out and he went over the roads and they did do a survey of the roads. And then the point was to enter it in on this program. So then you could monitor, you could see, well, if I did work on this road, you record that and watch. But there was something wrong with the program after I finally, and I'd have to dig that box is right inside my door. And I'm not sure if that gentleman still works, but I could find someone else who was a road ranger and ask.
But it wasn't Peter Coughlin. I was wondering if it was
No,
the same
but I
gentleman that.
talked with him, I've heard him, I know of him, but he wasn't the road ranger, the guy that came out and actually did the inspection of roads.
The acronym stands for Road System and Sign Maintenance Software. And I think that's key. That this, I think, would be a tremendously helpful utility for public safety or whoever to carry forward after there's a plan. And once there's a plan in place and there's an idea about budget and that's incorporated into your next budget meeting. And the town understands that this is not a one-off, the actual road system and sign management is long-term. But once all those are in place, then it sounds like the software is really useful. And chances are pretty good that would be something that would be part of the moving forward. Once you know, where the priority area is, what gets done, and, have a work plan, and a budget, this will help you track all that. That's my
I think it was pre-COVID when I was into this, and then, that came in, it's sat in the box inside my door. I haven't. had the time.
Well, this one is supposedly updated and probably got rid of some bugs.
Could be, because, yes, there was something, because I did attempt to start doing something to it, and then there was something, and then he said. And then, like I said.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious what needs to be fixed, you need a computer to tell you, so.
More questions or comments from the select board?
Steve, do you, in your mind, do you have sort of a first step that you think? If the select board, I don't think anyone in the select board is gonna say, oh, no, we don't need any improvements on our road. So, is this something that in the initial stage, you could see the Safe Roads group laying out a plan, or do you think we need to, we have the commissioner here, do we just support the commissioner in setting something up for us to follow, a plan, as you say? And do you have something in your head that you haven't conveyed yet about how you see this unfolding?
I have nothing in my head.
I doubt that.
Well, it seems to me that it's a good question, you know, sort of what would where do we go next? Where's this foot go? And it strikes me that there's two options. I cannot speak for the Safe Roads Committee. They were very concerned and very sort of supportive of a plan being initiated. They saw the value of that, the tremendous value in that. Whether or not they want to sort of lead the charge in that, I couldn't say. But that's one option, I suspect, and I think you'd have to talk to Jeff Carver was elected as their chair at the meeting I was at, so he is now chair of the Safe Road Committee, right? I mean.
Yeah, you know, we were saying it looks like he's online.
Oh, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, so, you know, you could certainly raise the question with the Safe Road Committee, and I couldn't speak for them, but it does also seem that the road commissioner, has all kinds of time, you know, so she.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do. I'd like to, if I'm getting an engineer, as soon as I find out how much the engineer, we'll have GoFundMe page for. I mean, because right now I'm trying to pay for roads that are.
Yeah.
Been damaged, I really, but if maybe there's a grant out there, I'll talk with Peter
Well,
Coughlin.
that's what I would think would
Yeah.
make a lot of sense, is to explore.
Yeah.
What he can tell us about how other towns have created or, you know, initiated and followed through with a plan. What's that? And then, my guess is we wouldn't be anticipating enacting that, you know, actually starting the plan. Probably for at least another fiscal year, but within the fiscal year, so I mean, by next spring, you have to be thinking about budgeting, but for that, for the ongoing.
But I did send out to the managers listserv to any towns, any managers that had, for small towns, road improvement, plan. I didn't hear from anybody. I was emailed again yesterday, Dave Kinney from Lincolnville. And I expect to hear something back on him, but I didn't hear from anybody else.
Well, maybe Peter could kind of get you in
Yeah.
touch with
Yeah.
one or two different.
Yeah. No, I think that would be a great thing to do, and I put it high on my list.
Man, my guess is, and I know you're busy, but my guess is the Safe Road Committee would appreciate that and find some way to help support that as well, but getting some information from Peter.
Yeah, I'd
what
like
other
to start on my own, and get something, figure out something before I would ask. Committee,
So
Okay,
it sounds like something you'll bring an update after you talk with Peter.
yes,
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
you know, we can identify sort of how we need to get you know, what are the resources that we need to do to get moving
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
And sort of conceptually, the select board would support road maintenance and improvement plan. We certainly have, I mean, at our last meeting, we appropriated the majority of our road maintenance funds to a small portion of road, so we certainly will need to raise more money next fiscal year for road maintenance, but it would be really helpful to have a plan to understand how, as we start to put money away, are we still going behind, or are we, how much money do we need to put away to, make improvements, not just tread water or, go behind? Because I think right now, a lot of it is we recognize we need to put money in. And it's a matter of how much balancing that with, raise and taxes. So I think having a plan helps us make an informed decision there.
Yeah, that's good.
Go ahead, Mark.
I wanted to add to the thought of road plans, all that is great and we should strive for that. If everybody recognizes this particular year, we've been pounded with water. Excessive water, roads have taken a beating. We hear and we found a number of roads affected by water, and we always will. I think along with tree growth, ditching, water is gonna be a culprit there. But we should also now, of some form or fashion, keep some documented records of roads damaged by weather, water, and whether any of that could be put against state funding. Because I know Waller County in this last water gusher that we've had for 3 inches of rain, Waller County took a pounding on a lot of roads, and I don't know how they're fixing it. So that's something else to keep in mind, some kind of trail, photographs, documentation. We should be more diligent in that respect.
I think Fred has been doing that for FEMA, and he's on there, he may speak to that, but we were getting as many pictures. And I have a great long list of.
We should keep that up, because and especially that bigger storm and some further ones, even private residents' driveways. I did a little driving around for different reasons and not realizing it, off to the side of that driveway, there's deep washout cuts. So even the property owners get their driveways affected. Even those should be reported so that you can make a separate list for private driveways. And if you accumulate enough, I don't know what could be done in resources, but it's something to build up. We need to keep. If we didn't have all the ditching work done here on Main Road, that 3 inches of rain, God knows what it would have done. It did little damage probably because nothing could heal up long enough. Some culverts got rerouted. But that would be something to keep in mind.
Thanks. Go ahead on.
How will you mentioned spending the majority of the road budget, and I guess that's on East Shore. How will that affect the usual 1 to 2 miles of paving?
We will not be paving. We spent the bulk of our paving reserve money, so, we will need to, now is a good time to think about a plan, because we will have to rebuild that fund. Typically, I think we've done, a couple $100,000 every year, and then every other year have done, some
About
paving.
350,000, which lots of times it could be a mile, but we did sections, we tried to piecemeal sections, but I think we had 540,000 and this bid was 435,000. So it didn't take it all, but I also have another 100,000 to put in from this year's budget to capital reserve, so there'll be 200,000 in there towards next year, but we may have to use that for something, eminent, if there's more.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because it does seem like this is an interesting kind of thing that a plan might help with, because there is certainly going to be times when it makes more sense to spend a first dollar on ditching or on culverts or on shoulder work or something that will make the surface you have last longer and prevent or slow down the failure of that surface. So, you know, that kind of sense of what do you do first and what do you, you know, that prioritizing. You know, we all like smooth roads, there's no question about that, but there may be a way to get more life out of every time you do.
Preventive maintenance.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, then we will look forward to an update from Janet after she talks with Peter Coughlin.
Let me know if I can help.
Thank you for raising it too.
Got your number. Poor Steve, I know. You're my road guy.
I have to be careful when I say that, huh?
Everybody heard it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, we have already discussed the scheduling of the special town meeting, which we are going to hold off on doing for right now. At that, when we had talked about having a special town meeting for the municipal building project, it seemed like a natural time to hold an election for another select board member. I think we may just want to hold on that for a little bit too, to figure out what is gonna happen, and then we can make a plan for both of those items.
How much time do we need for, in particular for having a nomination for select board member? So how much lead time do we need?
It has to be posted 7 days.
Oh, that's all.
Okay, there's no
Okay.
nomination papers,
Okay.
we don't print ballots.
Okay,
So if the word got out there, which I think pretty much people might know, but we could. They might know now. They might know now.
yeah.
They agree, thanks. I'm gonna nominate Empy.
Yeah.
Get her over here.
Yeah.
Nominate Mike.
Mike.
Oh, don't do that to Michael. But,
You love me.
yeah, I noticed that you're a baby. But yeah, so it's not a long period of time, but, it just would have to be planned, like, nothing, definitely. The week of November 6th, so that's referendum day, and I mentioned that to Tina, because
Not the sixth.
before and after.
We'll hold on that. Next up, sign updated policy on treasurer's disbursement warrants. And this, I believe, is because Phil has been, one of the two with this responsibility, and we need someone else. It's currently Phil and Lauren, is that
Mhm.
correct? They come in, once on non-select board meeting weeks to sign.
Phil's been doing that. You
Where
just
have you
need
been?
one signature.
Right, you only need one really, but.
But I've been there.
Oh, so you sign it every other week.
Well, Lauren might not be around for the next, this is why I thought of it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be having fun in LA.
Yeah.
You need to have our payroll. So if you had another person, that person could.
So.
Yeah.
A little eyebrow.
We don't need to compete for it.
I'm just saying, user takes it, right?
This doesn't seem,
Right.
this doesn't seem right.
Well, you could both, I mean, I don't need to continue, so why don't you two?
No, because you can't have two people from the same entity. What if the
Oh.
school implodes? You have to stay. It doesn't mean a survivor.
You want to.
I don't want that, but
I mean,
but if it gets me off one more, we can sign that. Sure.
No,
You can have.
conflict of interest.
Well, thank you for your
Well, that's a good
longstanding
point.
service in that capacity,
Yeah,
Phil.
Phil.
Yeah.
We all appreciate it. All employees appreciate it.
There's the pen.
So I would nominate Melissa, and Lauren to serve as the current municipal officers, to disperse on the policy for dispersing warrants for employee wages and benefits.
And I nominate Melissa, being the one who goes in every week besides.
Well, not every week, but we will certainly let her know.
You'll have to help cover her basketball season, and other than that, I'm good.
Right.
Yeah.
So we need a second?
Second.
Oh, as your last act, you're gonna vote me into your spot?
Oh.
Seems only right.
Seems only right.
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
So you have a form to sign up there. In front of that yellow.
All of the municipal officers, you just.
Yes, I need to have one official one. I just gave you all
Okay,
one.
so I will write and Melissa Burns.
Oh God, that won't be the same every time.
Just actually, Kathy, so quick, Kathy, but
Okay, no other business. The next order of business is to accept warrant number 9. Totaling $427,119.19. So we're losing him. Any questions, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Aye. No appointments. So the only comment that I have is, just a huge thank you to Phil for all of his years of service with, around this table. The many, town committees that you have served on
yeah.
as a EMT responder and, a neighbor that everyone wants to have. Thank you for all of the work and time that you put in. Enjoy your retirement and life in the big city. And come back to visit us when you're here visiting your family. Don't forget your friends too.
Thank you very much. That's very kind.
and I would like to say the same thing. You are beloved on this island, and that's the biggest party I've seen in a long time. And the word just went out once or twice, and everybody came to say thank you, and I want to follow
Most of
that
the people said they came for the cake.
up. I thank you too.
Pete,
Yeah, piggyback off all the kind of things, Phil, it's been a pleasure, our short time together, pleasure getting to know you.
Thank you.
And I won't steal Melissa's thunder, just gotta get on the team, but the Algebra Eagles are doing real well right now, and you should continue to support them as well. You also doing good. There's so many issues.
Melissa?
Well, we all know that everybody came to say bye to Donna, but I'm glad.
That's so true.
But thank you so much for everything. You've been a great mentor to me and I love being able to talk with you. And I miss you.
Thank you.
And everybody can go out, especially you now. You can drive to Richmond tomorrow, drive to Richmond on Friday at 3:30 and come support your Islesboro Eagles.
You called Donna and tell her that.
Oh, I will.
She's in panic mode now.
Yeah. Oh, well, I have a soccer team that could help if you guys so support. No, actually, I don't.
You get the last word, you get the last word, Bill.
It's a proper fundraise, man,
I'd like to just thank everybody. It's been a privilege to be on the board, to serve with you guys, and to serve with past members. I've enjoyed my time on the island. It's very hard to leave. Even though it's only 2, but it's leaving. There's not 2 ways about it. That's exactly what's happening. And I'm gonna miss everybody. Made a lot of friends here and hopefully I've helped out a few people. I enjoyed immensely working as the EMT. If anybody wants a real experience in life, do that. You save somebody's life, you're 6 inches off the ground for the rest of the day. So, thank you.
Would you like to take us out for the last time?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thanks for everyone online.
Thank you all.
Hanging
I
in.
wanna make sure you get your name, so.
Aw.
Can't forget that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah,